Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to wait for another minute or so and wait for folks to trickle in. We do realize that everyone's got really busy schedules and we have our meetings that are running back to back, and sometimes we have to stay just a little bit longer than we'd like at a meeting. So we'll wait until 9:02, and then from there, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and I'll start sharing my screen so that you all hopefully can see my title slide. All right, you're going to briefly see my calendar. We also just wanted to welcome folks who may be joining us from LinkedIn. This is the first time that we're actually streaming through LinkedIn, so we're really excited to be able to try that out. And hopefully, we pick up a couple of new attendees and folks who haven't registered or viewed any of our webinars in the past. All right, so I'm going to ask Matt here for confirmation. Is everything looking good on your end? You see
Yeah.
my title slide?
Yeah, you're good, Harvey. You have a reminder bottom right, but you're totally fine.
Oh yeah, I got to check on this the health of our sync with our marketing automation systems.
Classic.
All right, it's 9:02, so I'll go ahead and I'll get us started. I do appreciate everyone who joined us on time. We're really excited for our webinar today, Get Smart Fast. I'm Harvey Raniola. I'm the head of marketing here at Quid. Before we jump into our webinar, I just wanted to let you all know of a couple of events that we have coming up. On January 11th through 13th, we'll be at NRF. We will be at booth 1966, so we'd love it if you stopped by and had a chat with us. We have a couple of folks who will be in attendance there. We also have a really exciting webinar on January 21st around our retail trend predictions for 2026. So I got a preview of the report that we'll be using as the basis for the content there. Some really amazing work there that our outcome engineer, a couple of our outcome engineers have actually put together to forecast out what's going to be trending and will be popular in the next year. So really excited for that. I do also encourage you all to check out our resources section. We do post a new blog post every week when we have new reports. This is also where you'll be able to find them. And as you can see, you are able to filter them down based on different industries or use cases or resources. We actually posted a fun blog post today analyzing teenage slang. And so I do encourage you to take a look at the content that we have up there. More often than not, I would say that a lot of the content's pretty fun and very much relevant to our day-to-day lives. So, in terms of our agenda today, we have a pretty simple agenda. I'm going to introduce you to our speaker. You already see him on camera there. For the folks who are not familiar with Quid, we'll talk a little bit about our history and how we help people like you. And then after that, I'll hand it off to our speaker to go over what you all are here to watch and to learn more about, which is our newest Q agents and our Quid terminal and our new capabilities as a result of these innovations. And then after that, we'll save some time towards the end for a Q&A, but I do encourage everyone who's in attendance, feel free to pop in as many of your questions as you would like over the course of the webinar. We'll try our best to address them. And if not, like I said, we'll try our best to get to them at the end of our webinar. So our featured speaker today, I'm very excited to bring him on board here because we haven't done a webinar together in a really long time, but it's Matthew Smith. He's a senior solutions engineer here at Quid. We've worked together for a really long time, so I'm always excited to be part of a webinar with him. So we'll bring him back on board after our introduction to Quid. So, for the folks who are not familiar with us, we've been in the consumer and market intelligence space for more than 20 years. And what we've been doing over the last 2 decades is working with a number of top brands and leadership and different functions within those organizations to help them to understand their market. We want them to be able to forecast out, to be able to predict and anticipate what may be impacting their company so that they can act on it today. There's this term that's being thrown around quite a bit recently about AI native platforms. And we can confidently say that before generative AI hit the mainstream and allowed people to be able to quickly draft blog posts and content, now videos, which is crazy, Quid was generating network visualizations and helping our customers to be able to connect the dots among these different themes that are emerging for their business and to help them to understand their markets through this data, through these insights and visualizations, so that they know where their threats are, where their opportunities are, how they prioritize them, and what they should be acting on today. So Quid truly is an AI native platform. And over the last 20 years, more often than not, we come across this challenge where businesses aren't entirely sure whether or not the insights that they derive are enough to be able to make a positive impact and to be able to influence these different factors. And you obviously have the scope of control that's within your arm's reach. But as business leaders, we all know that our ability to impact the performance of the different aspects that you see on the image on the left, it's not always within our control. And the main reason for that is because there are other forces that are pulling them in different directions. Your market as a whole has a number of different components that are driving and dictating and changing what you should be reacting to and what you should be anticipating. And we have little control over that. But that's where Quid can help. We can help you to anticipate how these external factors will impact your company in the future and give you the recommendations and solutions to be able to act on them today. And as I alluded to earlier, we work with different functions within an organization with the goal of helping them to be able to achieve their business objectives. And we do so by working the way that you work. So at our foundation, at our core, you can see down at the bottom of the screen, we have our market models and we build them in a way that's relevant for your business. And you can access and leverage these models a number of different ways, whether it's through Quid Terminal and Q agents, like what you can see during this webinar and what Matt will be covering, or through communications channels like Teams or Slack, or even popular AI chats like Claude or even ChatGPT through an MCP or a model context protocol, if you're not familiar with that acronym. And what I hope that you all take away from this is that we work the way that you work to be able to achieve your outcomes. And as a result of us being around for quite some time now, we've had the opportunity and the pleasure to be able to work with a number of top brands and a number of organizations within these companies to help them to be able to achieve their objectives. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt. Feel free to take over the screen share and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Harvey. Let me fire this up and let me know if you can see it okay. Looks good. Looks good for my end. How am I looking, Harvey?
It is looking good on my end as well.
Okay, sweet. Let me move this little screen share thing to the bottom. Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. Harvey gave me a great introduction, but my name is Matt Smith. I've been here at Quid for quite a while. So has Harvey. We've both been here for quite a while, but we're good friends. We've been working together for years, and it's nice to finally be on a webinar again. But today, my job is to show you guys Quid Terminal. It is our newest, shiniest, where we're going as a company, face of our platforms. I've been here for almost 9 years now. I've personally been waiting for something like this all 9 years. It's our front page, our lobby to everything else that we do in our tools, and our clients are just loving it. We're creating custom environments, custom agents for our clients all the time, and I'm excited to show you just what we can do today. So what I'll be walking you through is a couple different terminal instances. By instances, I just mean that we really customize all of our terminals to your needs as a business, just what Harvey was saying. But we also customize this to what you're trying to do as a very specific team. If you're an agency and you serve a very specific team at a brand, where you can code it so that that brand's needs and wants are speckled throughout everything that you do within our tools. What I'm referring to is our priority outcome. We'll just jump right into it. I'm in a terminal instance here that we have called Acme Agency. It's just kind of a example terminal instance. It's loaded with a bunch of stuff, so I'm excited to show you here. But we will be jumping into some other instances. I have a Wayfair one looking at kind of the home goods furniture industry. That one will be pretty interesting. I have a gaming one that I personally am knowledgeable about that I show all the time. And then, of course, we have a healthcare one as well, looking at pharma. And I did a deep dive on some peptides and things like that. I hope you see just how different those three things are. And I've worked in our historic platforms for years, and I can tell you that looking across three industries on very different questions, I'd be in for a long day of making some manual reports myself. But with the terminal, you can do all of this in, we just have 45 minutes today, and you'll see what the type of insights that we can uncover. But the most important thing about our terminal is our priority outcomes. I started alluding to this earlier. This is basically a coded statement of what we want this terminal to do. And the terminal itself is really two main parts. We have a very advanced chat bot that I will be getting into called Ask Q. And we also have our awesome Q agents, which our library keeps getting bigger and bigger. This is huge. Just a couple months ago, it was about half of this. So Q agents are basically easy buttons that we've coded our workflows to be automated and quick. I'm excited to show you some of these outputs here. I have so many outputs, but our chatbot is also really powerful. And for more targeted questions, where you might not want to run that question on a repeatable basis, but maybe you really need to go deep. So those are really the two main aspects of our terminal is the chatbot and agents. We don't want to make it too confusing. We also have some stats down here too about the clients or industries or competitors that you might be looking at on a regular basis. And these will be constantly refreshing too. These visuals down here are kind of just a sampler. You'll see we're able to get way deeper very soon. But yeah, as I mentioned, this priority outcome, we can code this to be whatever we'd like. Right here, you see that it's pretty standard for an agency, optimizing revenue growth and client retention by delivering data-driven strategies, if I could pronounce it. But what this does is everything that we do, every question that we ask, and every brief that we create will first and foremost have this in mind. So unlike a free tool like a Chat GPT or something like that, there's many differences, but this is kind of the first and foremost one that we are going to understand your business. We're going to interview you. And if you ever need to tweak this or anything, we can always do that too. And just to show you how this might be different for a completely other agency or a completely other business, I'm pivoting to the gaming terminal here. And now we see that here we're empowering brands, developers, and agencies to decode the gaming ecosystem. So basically, it's as close to a robot coworker as I hope you could have, and that is our goal, to understand your business and to help you out as much as possible. The first thing I want to get into is our Quid agents. I really think our Q agents is what we're formally calling them. I really think that this is one of, if not the most powerful thing that we've ever done at Quid. These are easy buttons, as I mentioned, built on use cases that we know are tried and true. These are use cases that people have done in our platforms for years. And when I say our platforms, I'm referring to, of course, Quid Monitor and Quid Discover, which I don't think I'm logged into right now, but we're talking about Terminal today. But legacy platforms, meaning our awesome, award-winning, best-in-class social listening platform, Quid Monitor, and of course, our awesome networking storytelling tool, which is Quid Discover. So these have a taste of all of that underlying into them. And just for example, I'll just jump into a quick one. For example, the media coverage analysis. This one right here, all of these are going to have a little bit different inputs. For example, the food concept one is just an open-ended text. Media coverage, we have a drop-down category. What these do is generate awesome briefs, ad hoc. You can do these as many times as you'd like. But these generate briefs based on data sources and parameters that we have built in the backend that you influence with this input right here. So very easy to run any one of these topics right here, entertainment, toys, home decor, anything like that. Focus on a very specific thing and ignore whatever we'd like as well. The first one I'll be jumping into, I will be showing you this media coverage analysis one. So I think this will be a good one to start in. And we'll get into some of these more agents in just a second, but just a quick sampling of them. We do have patents data coming through in this agent. We have earnings call data coming through in this agent. We have topic sentiment where we can look at really anything under the sun. And I have some really unique examples like in the gaming one. But this has really been something that we've been trying to develop for years. And we recognize that these use cases can be so different for every individual client. And if you ever need a custom agent, we can develop that. We're doing that right now with a ton of our clients. They have some parameters that they want to follow on a repeatable basis, and we can work to develop a agent from total scratch. Or if you like one of our agents, we can kind of start from there and tweak it. The first one I want to jump into is the Wayfair brand strategy and integrated marketing instance. This is a little bit wordy, but it's doing a lot kind of for Wayfair and agencies that represent Wayfair. It's kind of an example here. And I want to jump into one of those media coverage analysis outputs that I ran. And this one right here on master bedroom decor trends. Just to show you how I did this, went in here, home decor, typed in master bedroom, and I really think that was it. This takes about 10 minutes to run. It gets in your inbox via email, and it also lives in your awesome library right here within your terminal instance. We have these tiles down here, but we can also view this in a long list like this as well if you generate a million briefs, whatever you'd like to do. So this one right here, master bedroom home decor. I quite like this brief because it was pretty interesting, and I thought these were all very new and trendy things that I personally hadn't heard of. But I think that this is great for, again, the whole subject of this webinar is to get smart quick, really depending on no matter what source, no matter what category you want to approach or consume. So in this case, we're assuming we're Wayfair or an agency that represents Wayfair, and maybe we're looking to pivot marketing strategies. Maybe we're looking to develop new products and maybe put some more products right in front of consumers' faces. So right here, we automatically, this is all AI generated. This is all from the agent. And again, this is one of the ones that we have off the shelf. But if you're like, oh, this would be perfect for my business, but I want to tweak it a little bit, we do that all the time. We can tweak this to however you'd like. So what we see here is textured-led bedroom bundles. I'm not going to go line by line here, but what you're noticing is that we're not only identifying these trends, we're ranking them. We're giving you cited photos so we can see like layered textured fabrics, wool throws, vintage inspired patterns reinterpreted. And of course, we have links to all of these as well. If you ever want to go check out some validation, right here is looks like cozy maxing is going to get you through the winter. I could have told you that. I'm very cozy. However, but this is something that our reports can tell you if that ever changes or when we start to go into the spring, I imagine cozy decor will be a little bit less of the focus. Continuing on through here, we have texture layering and nature forward materials, cozy tactiles. It really just keeps going. And again, we're focused just on master bedroom here. And again, top decor styles, color trends, vintage nostalgia. I'm going a little bit faster here just because there's quite a bit. But yeah, this is something that we can run on any given category, any given business. This one just happened to be master bedroom and trends, but in the same lens of home care and home decor. I have the same one here, but for kitchen trends, just so you can see how these can be different, but still that same quality of the AI structure is still there. So now I'm not going to go through the kitchen one here, but warm wood tones, we're not seeing as many. We do see cozy textured fabrics here too, but more referring to like dish towels and stuff. So definitely very interesting, and you can really run as many of these as you'd like. This one was our media coverage agent. You can check that out on our website. We have, I think, an example of that linked. But it is one of our best agents. It ties into LexisNexis News, which we've been with them for over 15 years. We're great partners with them. And I just ran this one right before the webinar started, but this one's a little bit different, just a different agent, actually. This one was a little bit more open-ended on home remodeling. I wanted to see the topic sentiment of home remodeling. And here we see practical remodel wins, quick kitchen refreshes, and a bunch of deeper insights than that. We see emotions, biggest complaints, unusual platform differences. So how might this conversation differ from one platform to another? I feel like this is really a place where we as Quid shine because we've been dealing with these sources for so many years, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, as well as many others. And we know exactly the language that comes from each one. We've tweaked our machine learning algorithms to optimize for short form text and long form text, depending on what source is coming through. And then in this brief here, we divide and conquer by splitting up each source here. So what is the home remodeling conversation on Twitter? What is it on Facebook, etc. So this was two different agents I just showed you there, the topic sentiment as well as the media coverage. These two right here. And topic sentiment is that open-ended one that I'd mentioned as well. I think for before we go into the chatbot, I want to pivot into our next instance, and then I'll show you some cool examples I had there. Because I did think I asked just a couple quick questions. But let me introduce the chatbot really quick before we start jumping around, because we really dove into Q agents there. But as I mentioned, the terminal is a two-part environment. We have the Q agents as well as our super powerful chatbot. What's very special about our chatbot is these data sets that you talk to, unlike a chat GPT where you're just boiling the ocean and you're not exactly sure where these sources are coming from, if they're biased, if they're even the sources that contain the answers that you want. And a lot of cases, a lot of those, chat GPT or a lot of these free sources won't have access to just these social media outlets, especially sites citing them and linking back to their insights specifically. So what we're able to do is develop these models. Right here, you can see I have three brand models and a category model, as well as a couple source models here. Models, you can really think as, if you're familiar with Quid Monitor topics that have been wrapped in an LLM and made conversational. These are basically topics on steroids. You can think of them as basically all the filters that you'd want to apply to them, you can apply with natural language. Historically, in our tools, if you wanted to filter by like healthcare providers or something like that, you might need to list out every single iteration of their bio terms. Whereas our AskQ tool is going to know that you're looking for healthcare providers, and we've coded it with ways to get there. Obviously, you're not going to be doing that in the Wayfair instance, but you'll see when we get into pharma how we can isolate out those HCPs. But for example, I'll jump into Ask Q here. You just ask any question. So maybe like going into Wayfair here, what could Wayfair be doing against their competitive set? And of course, I'm going to leave my typo there because we don't need to fix that too much. But I ran that question just a little bit ago, so this is just going to take a minute to run. However, I did already run it right here. So a little bit of a cooking show where I do have it kind of already baked here, but you'll see I'm not trying to hide anything from you. We can see the answer that this generates here. But all I did was what should Wayfair be doing to stay ahead of the competition? And our AskQ tool is great for these types of questions. Whereas the briefs might be a little bit more, hey, we want to run these reports on a repeatable basis. I just need a quick deep dive on this brand. I'll show you some of the other questions that we can ask with briefs as we get into the other ones. But if you want to ask, how is the competition doing this week? Maybe something more creative, like what's my next question here? Break down membership programs. Let's compare them. These are questions better for AskQ. And what you're seeing here is a pretty good answer to what should Wayfair be doing to stay ahead of the competition. We're getting mentions of the Wayday sale, membership, early access, and rewards. And then one piece I would really like to draw your attention to is these actionable insights. These actionable insights are coded into every answer that we give you, and they're also in a lot of our briefs. But these are where that priority outcome from the start really shine. This is going to take into account your business and what you're trying to do and take into account all these answers and recommend some insights and actions that you may want to take right to your client or right to your business meeting. So right here, we can see like prioritize AI-driven personalized discovery to increase conversion and reduce returns. This is our best attempt at getting some of the way there. We recognize that if you're exploring this data, you're likely a subject matter expert, but we know our data and we know that we can help you a lot of the way. Right here, convert high frequency sales shoppers into rewards members, reduce marketplace friction by insinuating targeted supplier data quality. We get really deep because we understand you want to get really deep. These actionable insights can be tailored. Again, we can tweak that priority outcome if this is not exactly what you're wanting. And of course, we can always go deeper, as deep as we want. So here I have a direct comparison with Wayfair and Target Circle, more quotes coming from specific local papers and different outlets. And again, more actionable insights here, but now pertaining to this new question. Um, so yeah, I'll jump to the gaming one here after this, but yeah, just wanted to see if there's any questions in the chat or anything like that on just a first initial cover of Q agents and a first initial pass of Ask Q. But we're going to be spending more time in here in the next 20 minutes.
Matt, I do see a question from an anonymous attendee. Wish
Sure.
you would have shared who you were, but not really related to what you've been going through. And I do realize that earlier I did mention we'll hold off on unrelated questions, but I figure
No,
since
no problem. No
we got a
problem.
break here, the question was about whether Quid can be used for individual channel monitoring. So say I wanted to analyze social media content posted by an individual or group of individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great reason to use Quid for sure. As you can imagine, that is very, very easy to do within Quid Monitor, our historical social listening platform. Let me just log into that in case anyone needs a quick visual of what I'm referring to when I say Quid Monitor, because don't know if people have seen that or not on the call. But the short answer to your question is yes, we can absolutely monitor one, a couple, or many people. These models that we create are built on whatever we'd like them to be. If you want them to just be a few different people, a few different outlets, a few different reporters, you can totally do that. We can construct it for you that way. We can give you the keys to tweak it yourself, but in most cases, we build it for you. And actually, a great example of that is this pharma one that I'll be getting into after the gaming one, which is I have like a HCP's model, a healthcare media and journalists model, and a policymaker healthcare conversations model. These are less about context and more about the people in the model and what they're posting, which I think is almost a just as good, if not better, way to use models than contextually keyword based. And in the same way, the gaming one that I'm just about to jump into, I have a gaming subreddits model, which is similar but different because it's looking across like the top 20 gaming subreddits, not looking for keywords or anything like that, just seeing what they're posting. So if you wanted to build a model around one or two people, we totally can. And one interesting thing that we've done in the past is look at who's following that person. So if you know that Steph Curry is the person that you want to analyze, but maybe there's not that much Steph Curry news. Maybe you want to see what his audience cares about. What new shoe brand is he going to sign with? You might run a Steph Curry audience model, and we can put that in here for you, and you can ask it whatever questions you'd like. It's a great use of our platform. We handle individual people and celebrities and athletes super well. Using Quid Terminal for it might be a little overkill. You can do a lot of that within Quid Monitor. However, if you know that you want to be asking about that person on a repeatable basis, or you want your whole organization to have easy access to also do that, I think Quid Terminal could be great. You could easily put a model in here. We could also build a custom agent looking at those people. I could think of, maybe we want the input to be what person do you want to look at? And you type in a person and we, pull from their channels, we pull from their organic mentions. I could think of a bunch of ways to do that. That's a great question.
Matt, I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
One I do believe it's relevant to
Yeah.
what you've been discussing, but it's from Emily Barker. She asked, can you get a full source list within these briefs?
Great question. Yes, we have all that data. So the briefs are really kind of our little concoctions of sources. I'll go to the longer list here in the agency one. As you can imagine, and this has been kind of nice for our clients too, because we definitely hear from clients, maybe they're married to one data provider and they can't get access to social data, proper. They can't sign on with another provider, something like that. These have been a nice answer to that kind of issue that we've had over the years is because these have sources built into these. For example, you don't have to pay us for the patents data set anymore. You can just pay us for this patent landscape agent and run your patents analyses through here. This patents agent only has patents data. We have all that data in the back end. We have very deep descriptions of all of these. For example, earnings calls. This is coming from Seeking Alpha. Patents insights coming from Capite. No, that would be Thomson Reuters Innovation. TikTok, of course, coming from TikTok. Company profile. This one's a really cool one because this is coming from our company's data set, which is CapIQ and Crunchbase. But basically, we've built these use cases with kind of a couple things in mind. What question are we trying to answer? What sources do we need to look at to answer that question? And then how do we want to construct it? What do we want those prompts to be? So if one of these is great, but it's not looking at the sources that you want to look at, cool. We can totally rebuild it, make one custom for you. And what's really cool about these two is they've been able to combine data from all of our different data sets. One thing about Quid is if you know us, we have so much data, companies, patents, news, social, earnings calls, reviews, anything you want. These agents have been a nice kind of melting pot for all that data, where historically it's been a little bit siloed, where here these briefs can combine all those insights into what you need. So really, we've removed a lot of the training and onboarding, a lot of that stuff from the equation. We just want to know what answers you're trying to get to, and if we need to build a custom agent to get to it, we'll do it. But hopefully, one of our ones off the shelf, because we've built about 25 so far, hopefully one of these will get you some of the way there. Any more questions, Harvey, or was that it?
That was it for now, Matt. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Let's jump into this gaming terminal. I speak with a lot of our gaming clients. I am begrudgingly called the gaming guru around here. I don't love it, but it's okay. And I do love working with gaming clients. It's a very exciting industry, always growing. And our platform happens to handle it really, really well. So I have some briefs here, as well as some chatbots or some conversations from Ask Q to walk you through. But let's look at a brief really quick. I think one I would love to look at is maybe the brand sentiment right here for a specific brand. So this is type in a brand. We're going to give you the brand sentiment. We haven't looked at this agent yet. We've looked at media monitoring and topic sentiment. This is a third one. Brand sentiment, all you do is type in a brand name and we give you what people are liking and not liking about that brand across all of our sources. And this one was Epic Games. If you're not familiar, it's a West Coast based developer, makes Fortnite, very large game. They also make a handful of other games and they acquire other games as well. They have like a platform. But key positive themes as well as key negative themes. People are talking about reliability and performance issues. These are, top line hits. We keep them short for a reason because we recognize that these are just the key themes. And of course, we go absolutely deeper beyond this. Emotions. What is the anger and frustration about? It's outages, cheating, and billing surprises. What are the biggest complaints about this company? And then here we have our unusual platform differences again. How are people talking about this on different platforms? Strongly polarizing public sentiment with, of course, citations for all of those callouts, recognize strengths and industry impacts. Looks like Twitter is kind of contentious. Facebook, however, more so talking about freebies and partnerships. But it's also talking about that monetization and reliability too. So we're starting to see those core themes come out. This is a great way to get smart fast, not to keep using the name of the webinar, but that's exactly what we're trying to do. What's happening with Epic Games? What are people talking about? One thing I haven't mentioned is a combination of these two features. We have our briefs and we have Ask Q. However, what if you don't want to read this whole brief? It's a little lengthy, we make them lengthy on purpose. But what if you don't want to read it all? What if you just need to know if something's in here or not? We have Ask Q built into all of our briefs. You can ask questions based on what's in here, what it's referring to, things that might not necessarily be expanded upon. So, what's up with Fortnite? Simple question. It's going to give me an answer in just a few seconds here. And it's going to be based on, again, what people are talking about Epic Games across all of these sources. So if we want to run a deeper dive on Fortnite, we totally can. But this is just an example of why we might use Ask Q on top of a brief. It's great for these brand sentiment ones where, you might not necessarily know all of their partnerships that they're exploring or something like that. But But yeah, we can just come in here with this sidebar and start asking questions. We also have awesome commenting and sharing capabilities on all of our briefs, and the briefs are editable. So if you would like to make tweaks to the briefs, if you really like it as is, but you wish a couple words were different, we can do that. And here is the Ask Q output. All I said was what's up with Fortnite, and here we have what's up with Fortnite. Key positive trends, major complaints and criticisms, community sentiment, actionable insights based on our priority outcome. So when I say we put these everywhere, we do truly put them everywhere. They are in our Ask Q responses, they're in these responses, and they're in the briefs. So we really think that AI outputs aren't too valuable without priority outcomes, because it's that AI doesn't know your business until you teach it about your business, and our way of coding that in has been really well received. Another brief I have here is this one is a little bit more unique. So this one I wanted to try a kind of tougher topic, and I tried gotcha games. If you don't know this terminology, this is kind of sounds like what it does. It's gotcha. It's I don't know if that's exactly the origin, but it's these are games that are meant to take your money, whether it's quasi gambling or through a bunch of other means. So I just wanted to run a topic sentiment on something like this, which is a colloquial term. It's not super established, but we have an awesome deep dive into these gotcha games, monetization gambling, a bunch of brand risks, fandom dynamics, award controversies, things like that. Bunch of TikTok mentions, player enthusiasms, things like that. Really exploring this genre, but also this kind of like societal issue. I'm sorry. And actionable insights. Of course, we have these everywhere. I won't shut up about them, but these are our actionable insights. And here we have like define and publish a concrete program that operationalizes, excuse me, operationalizes transparent monetization and safety features. So we're going to recognize what your business is trying to do and hopefully get you some of the way there. I think that these three are great actionable insights for this very contentious topic. And then in terms of briefs, we looked at brand sentiment, topic sentiment. Oh, this is a TikTok trend one. As I mentioned, we can dive deep into any of our sources. The TikTok agent is just another agent. So this one was trends on gaming in general on TikTok, hashtag games, hashtag gaming. Looks like there was some intense Subway partnerships going on this week with gaming. But beyond that, it gets mostly pretty deep into gaming, VR chat. We have metrics built into here, timelines, actual TikTok showing up here. Retro gaming is getting pretty popular, but it is going down this time period with some exact examples of some of those products. And of course, we have steady and emerging trends as well. Since we are in the business of trends, we are all about if it's emerging, if it's declining, if it's steady, and we have many, many algorithms in the back end that can help determine that. We can also break these trends down by age groups. We have much more data than what is here, but this is just to make it nice and concise for this brief. Party games, and again, this is all on TikTok. This is now the fourth agent I've shown you on this webinar. Media monitoring, topic sentiment, brand sentiment, and now TikTok trends. So really cool. All four of these agents were in-depth use cases in our historical platforms, but now they all operate with the click of a button, with more precision and unbiased insights than we've really ever had. In terms of the Ask Q conversations that I asked for gaming, we just have a few minutes here left, but there's not too much more to cover. All I asked it, I went on our that model I made of all the top gaming subreddits, and all I said was, what are the hottest games right now? What I really like about this is it gives you those links right back to Reddit. We are a certified Reddit partner, so we have all of that data here too. Specific quotes coming from these visual world building platform. What are people talking about? I think Hogwarts is free this week or something like that. And of course, those actionable insights. I won't talk anymore about those. And then here, a very popular game right now is Arc Raiders. So I said, what do people like about Arc Raiders? And we really dive into what people like, don't like about it, of course, with those citations and, as you expected, actionable insights too. So what should we position the messaging around? What should we highlight? What should we promote? What influencers should we partner with? These are all things that we can ideally help you with. And then I said, a little contentious. I said, what games are the most polarizing? Any games that could be seen as a brand risk or any specific communities? And it told me, GTA, high engagement, persistent brand friction, though, narrative-driven games that split communities. Sometimes these contentious ones, maybe you don't want to partner with those as a brand. Live service games can be a little contentious, things like that. So yeah, I think this is a great approach to a deeper question, but the briefs are a great approach to ones that you may ask on a repeatable basis. What's happening with this developer this week, for example. With the 5 minutes we have left here, let me jump into the pharma one really quick. This won't take too long at all, but I just wanted to show you a nice smorgasbord of three very different use cases across three very different industries. The medical affairs one here is this one's built for a pharmaceutical executive to stay ahead of market shifts. So you might use this if you're any level at a pharmaceutical company to come in here and see, okay, what are my competitors doing at these other top pharma companies? What are healthcare providers saying about Ozempic or what have you? Or you could run a brief on like what are health media trends this week, which we can absolutely do that too. You'll notice this one looks a little similar to the kitchen and master bedroom one I showed. It's because it is. This is the same brief or same agent creating these briefs. Obesity drug and policy shifts, hormone replacement therapy, things like that. So this is just one of the many, many things we could do. We've already looked at that agent, but for a completely new agent, makes number 5 now on this webinar that we've looked at is our earnings call agent. So this is now a totally different one, looking at earnings calls, a whole different data set, and this one's honing in to pharma and healthcare. So what are they talking about? What are their results talking about? Margin expansion and cost control, innovation and product launches, and of course, citations to all of these quotes, all from Seeking Alpha. If you ever want to go see any of these quotes, you just click on this and it takes you to Seeking Alpha right here. But yeah, this is now number 5, and historically in a demo of our tools, I could maybe only cover 2 use cases in a hour-long demo, maybe 3. But I think it's so cool to be able to just jam through all of these, pivot between an industry, pivot between different instances like that. It's really the beauty of Quid Terminal. And the one last thing I'll show you is our team. We also have an amazing services team at Quid. We generate really deep reports on a requested basis, on ad hoc basis. So if you ever need something that goes way deeper than what you think our AI agents can generate, our Quid reports that we generate are really amazing. These are custom reports that our team puts together. Takes them a couple weeks to do it because they're very accurate and very deep. But as you can see here, this one is about make America healthy again. We have our main insights, our conversation spikes. We can put any visuals that you want in here. We are working on getting our agents up to this level, if not higher, in the future. So this is, we have our end goal in mind, and it's to make our agents, make reports as good as a human can. And we're really getting there faster than we thought we would. So if you're ever curious in custom reports like this, we can absolutely build them for you. We do these for many, many of our clients, sometimes on a weekly basis. And if it ever needs to be more automated or more frequent, that's exactly why we built agents to automate these as much as we can. And I think the very last thing, I think I asked some questions about some pharma stuff. I think I asked about peptides. I said, what are top companies saying about peptides and this new technology? And as you can imagine, it was really good at diving into those macrocyclic peptides, oral targeted peptides, and small molecules. And then you go down here, and I was like, expand on these core pillars, because it referred to these as core pillars. And what are these top solutions that they're going to solve for? And it really gave me a nice breakdown. It looks like oral peptides are like the kind of top of the list here. But anyways, I know we're up on time. Want to see if there's any questions as we wrap up. But thank you so much for the couple questions that did come through. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day and week, especially around the holidays. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope this has been insightful. The Quid terminal, super fun, super easy to use. I'm the most excited I've been since I've been here all 9 years. I think this is a super cool thing. It's what I've always wanted the platform to turn into, and we're here. So thank you so much. Harvey, any more questions?
Yeah, we've got one more question, Matt.
What do we got?
This one's from Emily Barker again.
Okay.
Thank you
Yeah.
for another question here. Are the briefs able to be alerted to? So, as an example, there's a shift in the media landscape as it pertains to Epic Games. Will Quid Terminal be able to proactively flag?
Great question. Yes, that's something that we don't have this day and time. However, we have such great alerting capabilities in our historical tools. We have Quid Monitor. We can set up alerts on anything. Right here, I can trigger an alert based on any metric, any mention, any post, anything like that. And what we can do in the back end, we haven't exactly done this yet, but we do trigger brief creation automatically. For example, if you want a brief ran every Monday morning, we can already do that. So all this would be is a marrying of this feature and that feature, which no one has requested yet, but absolutely we totally can. Is like, hey, when this trigger happens, run the brief and send it to me. That'd be very easy for us to do since we already have that built. But if you do, it's Emily, it sounds like you want to maybe get closer with the data, track some specific influencers, set up some alerts. What I might recommend is exploring Quid Terminal with your team, but maybe you might want to be a user of Quid Monitor. That's exactly, some of the environments that we set up with clients. Maybe there's a power user, maybe there's someone who kind of holds the keys and can influence what's being built in Quid Terminal. You can have one of those people or not. Emily, it sounds like you might be a great person to be that. But great question. Alerts are super possible, and people love our alerts. We can, yeah, the fact that we can trigger them based on anything has been really well received over the years. But Terminal is very new. We're about 4 months into it, so we are taking any and all feedback. I'm really happy with what we've been able to build so far, especially with all of these agents. And yeah, it's all a work in progress, but this has been really fun to do with marketing. Thank you, Harvey, for running this. But also with product, we're meeting with them every week and tweaking things about this, and understanding client feedback and how we might want to make this better in the future. So
Yeah, yeah, and just to reiterate Matt's point, those have been incredibly helpful in allowing the product team to understand what the needs are and how to translate those into Q agents. And so, I would say that we it seems like we're cranking out new Q agents every single week. So, and we do make announcements about what we're rolling out. So, I do recommend keeping an eye out on your inbox whenever we do make these announcements. There's always something new that we're rolling out, which we're always excited about because there are always new capabilities that we have the ability to explore. So I wanted to thank Matthew again for his time and sharing the different examples of Quid Terminal as well as the new capabilities with our new Q agents. Like I mentioned to you all before, keep an eye on our events page. We do have more coming up. So please take the opportunity to do so. Register for upcoming events. Hopefully, we see you all at NRF. But otherwise, we'd like to thank you again for spending 49 minutes with us, and we'll see you all again next time.
thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.